Somewhere in France, there is a gravestone. It has a man's name on it. His mother picked out the inscription herself in 1940, while she was still grieving. It reads, "So he passed over, and all the trumpets sounded for him on the other side." For 86 years, that stone stood in a cemetery in northern France. And for 86 years, it marked the wrong man. Because the pilot it was meant for was still in his cockpit, just a few miles away, buried under a field that would eventually become a canal. I'm talking about May 19th, 1940, which is a date that barely registers in the bigger accounts of the war. Because by then, everyone was looking at Dunkirk. The British Expeditionary Force was in full retreat. The German army had moved so fast and so decisively that the Allied command barely had time to think, let alone fight back. And in the skies above northern France, the RAF was trying to buy time for a retreat that was already turning catastrophic. On that single day, the 607 Squadron flew their Hurricanes over the skies near Cambrai. And in one engagement, just one, 13 Hurricanes were shot down. Not one or two, 13. And of those pilots was a 27-year-old squadron leader, George Morley Fidler, from Great Ayton in North Yorkshire. An exceptional pilot by every account. Someone who'd served in Egypt, Cyprus, India. Someone who, when he came home on leave, would sometimes arrive by aircraft, do a loop over the village, and land in a nearby field just because he could. Now he went down over Oisy-le-Verger, near Pas-de-Calais, and in the chaos of that retreat, no one knew exactly where. You see, when you lose 13 aircraft in a single engagement, over a battlefield that's simultaneously being overrun on the ground, the normal processes break down entirely. British troops found a downed pilot. They buried him hastily. You know, the way you do when you're retreating and the enemy is advancing. The French later moved the remains to a proper cemetery in Bachy, which is about 20 miles from where Fidler went down. And the record said Fidler. His mother Gertrude was told. She had already lost her daughter, Joan, only a couple of weeks earlier. You see, Joan had been working as a radiographer or an x-ray tech at a military hospital when she died. And now this, she lost her son. So she chose the inscription herself, which was a line from John Bunyan's The Pilgrim's Process. So he passed over, and all the trumpets sounded for him on the other side. The inscription from a mother who believed her son had been found and given a proper place to rest. And the tragedy of it all, the part of the story that stays with you, is that he hadn't been found. Not yet. The grave in Bachy, it wasn't Fidler's. For nearly 66 years, no one had reason to question it. After all, the records said what the records said. But in 2006, a group of amateur metal detectorists began investigating the supposed crash site near Oisy-le-Verger. And what they found didn't add up. You see, the wreckage wasn't Fidler's Hurricane. It actually belonged to Flying Officer James Strickland, who had also been flying with the 607 Squadron that day, but who had bailed out and managed to make it back to England. Now, Strickland survived May 19, 1940. However, he was killed in a flying accident at the controls of a Spitfire at Portreath near Cornwall, just over a year later. So the man in the Bachy grave wasn't Fidler. And of course it wasn't Strickland either, because Strickland had bailed out. His wreck was elsewhere. The identity of who was actually buried in Bachy remains unsolved.
But that discovery raised a question that could not be ignored. I mean, after all, think about it. If Fidler wasn't in Bachy, well then where was he?
The answer came in 2023. However, not from historians and not from the government, but from engineers and construction workers. A major canal lock was being built at Oisy-le-Verger, the same town where Fidler had last been seen going down, 83 years earlier. Now, during the excavation, buried deep in the mud beneath what had been just an ordinary field, the workers hit metal. They found a Hurricane fighter, tail number P3535. And in the cockpit, still in the pilot seat, still strapped in, was the pilot.
I mean, let's look at that for a moment. For 83 years, while his family mourned at the wrong grave, while historians recorded him as buried in Bachy, and while the world moved on through the second half of the 20th century and into the 21st, he was still right there. Exactly where he went down, still upright, and still strapped in.
Now, the Ministry of Defense sent in their war detectives. This kind of work is painstaking. There's a lot of cross-referencing, personal effects, aircraft serial numbers, and of course, ultimately, the analysis of the DNA. And in April 2026, they finally had their answer. The remains in Hurricane P3535 were those of Squadron leader George Morley Fidler from Great Ayton, North Yorkshire, age 27, known to be an exceptional pilot.
Now, this canal project currently undergoing in northern France is huge, and it goes right through prominent battlefields from World War II, and some as far back as World War I. So I hope you'll consider subscribing to History X and clicking that like button, because it stands to reason more fascinating discoveries like this one will be coming soon.
On May 19th, 2026, precisely 86 years to the day he was shot down, Fidler was buried with full military honors. An RAF bearer party carried his coffin, draped in a Union Jack, through pouring rain to a grave at the Commonwealth War Graves Commission London Cemetery in Longueville, France. Pilots from the 607 Squadron were there, the same squadron he flew with on the last day of his life. A new headstone was also placed, with the same inscription his mother had picked out in 1940. And that's the part of the story that hardly anyone talks about. Because when a pilot is listed as missing in action, we tend to picture someone the war swallowed up and took away. But Fidler didn't vanish. He was always in Oisy-le-Verger, in the mud, in his cockpit, in the exact field where his Hurricane came down. You see the chaos of those final days. 13 aircraft down in one engagement. Troops retreating all around. Records were understandably scrambled. And it meant that a man who deserved to be found wasn't found for 83 years. Not because he was gone, but because no one knew where to look.
I keep coming back to his mother's inscription, placed on the wrong grave. She selected it not knowing. Kind of the way all grieving families write these things, because she needed to believe he would be remembered. Turns out he was, just 83 years later. And that's the part of this story we rarely talk about. Now, if you want more World War II stories about lost aircraft and their crews, then check out this video.